Hey there, friends. I am super duper exciting. This is the first time we are painting these two canvases ever, and we're painting them together as a mommy-daughter duo. And so I am so excited to share this memory and this moment with you. So let's go over a quick rundown of everything you need. Number one, if you have your pretty clothes on, go change. You want to put on any kind of clothes or put an apron on that you don't care if it gets paint on them. Number two, you need all of your painting supplies that came in the kit. So you need your canvases, you need your napkins, your brushes, your paints, your paint plate. This did not come in the kit, but you do need a water cup. Do not pick your favorite cup because sometimes the paint water will stain the cups, okay? Number three, you need to cover your painting surface so that way there's no stress about getting paint where it doesn't belong. I do try to keep the painting kind of calm and regulated, so paint should stay where it belongs, but there's always chances for accidents, right? That's why they're called accidents. And number four, go turn on some cool jams that y'all like and grab yourself a snack and drink and just make a whole celebration of this, right? So I am ready to get started, and remember at any time if you need to pause me, you can hit pause, you can rewind, you can fast forward, whatever floats your boat. Also remember that this is just for fun, right? This is for some memory making and just an experience to be able to share together. So everybody's going to kind of do their own thing, and just because I do something a certain way doesn't mean that you have to follow along, right? All right. Typically, I like to start with my background first, and then I move on to the fun part. So you got to take care of the business part first, and then you can move on to the fun part. Now, part of business also is getting your plate ready. And I know my plate is awfully painted. I just kind of reuse the same one over and over again. That way, you know, I'm not being super wasteful. I am going to put white paint in the middle of my plate, and I'm putting a decent glob right there in the middle, probably about a quarter amount. And then I'm going to roll my brush. Let me show you what I mean. Just kind of roll your brush on the plate to get the extra paint off, and then you can start digging into the other colors that you think you might want. And so really there is no wrong answer to this. There really isn't. So you can just kind of put on there whatever you want. I might put some blue, and honestly, I'll probably be getting into every color because I think my unicorn is gonna have rainbow hair, but your unicorn can just have one color hair or a pattern in their hair. Yes, I am dipping a dirty paintbrush into my paint, but notice that the colors that I dipped into right now are part of the cool color families. So blues, greens, and purples are all part of the cool color family, so they kind of came from the same realm. So it's okay. If that bothers you, clean your brush before you dip it in a new color, right? Now this brush is going to go all the way to the bottom of the cup. And if we were at Artsy Rose or in my classroom at school, I would tell the boys, just to get a groan out of them, becomes a ballerina in the bottom of our cup, and we smush and swirl, and no tap dancing today because you will splash mom or grandma or your friend. So don't do that. Or even yourself, okay? And we wipe on our cup instead of tapping. And then this next step is super duper important. I am going to dry my brush. So sweep, 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 okay? There we go. All right. So now, there we go. Now, I'm gonna get into some of my warmer colors like the yellow and the red. So I'll put some yellow on my plate. And remember, you could always just start out with a little bit and then add more if you need to. I'm grabbing quite a bit, and that is because I'm doing 2 paintings at once. You guys are each only doing 1 painting. Now I will say, if you want your backgrounds to match, maybe mix double the amount for the background, and then y'all can share that pile. And make sure you make enough if you're mixing your own color. It's such a bummer to run out of paint if you've made this beautiful color and then it's gone, right? So I'm going to smush and swirl again. Now, if your water gets really mucky, like it has to be really mucky, then go clean it out. Go get fresh water. And the reason being is because you don't want it to mess up your paint colors, right? So, but only if it gets really mucky. Usually I don't swap it out at all on these 10 by 10 canvases, but if it were a big canvas, then I would probably swap it out at least once. Okay. So we are going to start with our background first. So I am going to use my flat brush. I do have 3 size brushes. I have a small pointy, medium pointy, and a flat. You have more than 3 brushes that came with your kit. So you just grab kind of whichever ones you think are going to work best for what you need. And anytime you're working in a small area, use the small brush. Big area, bigger brushes. Also, take your time. Kiddos, you tend to rush more than the adults. Adults, you tend to overthink things a little bit. So you got to find a compromise in there. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work a little bit on one, and then I'll work on the other, and then the other, and then the other. And realistically, it's pretty much the same concept. It's just reversed. And obviously we have mommy and then we have kiddo, right? So think about it like that, okay? I think I am going to do... I think I'm going to mix all my cool colors and do a little turquoise, little blue, little purple maybe. So, but I like to go soft when it comes, I think I'm going to have to get more white, when it comes to backgrounds, because I like for my backgrounds to kind of just fade away to where they don't really become very noticeable. And then my, that way my foreground, or the main idea, the emphasis of the artwork really pops, okay? So I'm going to mix some turquoise in with my white. So I did a lot of white and just a little bit of turquoise into there. So like just start with probably a chocolate chip amount of color. Anytime you want to lighten a color, you start with white and then you put that color in to the white. So what I'm going to do is I am going to outline, and if you're working on the other canvas, then same thing, guys. You're just going to outline and then fill in, okay? Now, if you don't trust yourself with the big guy, then use the medium pointy brush to outline and then switch to the big guy. Now I like to do my edges, so I'm going to do the very top, then I'm going to bring this color down to where the mane is. So I only brought it down a little ways, okay? Now, when I fill it in, I am going to swirl my brush. Swirl the brush, okay? You can, if you want it to be smooth, you could go from one side to the other, one side to the other, and make it look nice and smooth. But personally, I really like kind of a swirled look. So you can make circles and C's and backward C's and N's and U's and just really get your art working around like that. Okay? And then I might only carry it about that far before I start working on my next color. So if I want these to match, I might do maybe a little more. There we go. Okay, so this one might only go about like Something like that, maybe? You are doing your very own painting, so you guys do it how you want to. Now, obviously, if you want yours to coordinate with each other, then talk it out. Rock, paper, scissors, whatever you got to do. Or make them completely different. They don't have to be hung up together. Mom's could go in Mom's room and Sissy's could go in her room, right? It doesn't have to be hung up together in a common space. Just an idea. There we go. Bring that color down to there. Bring it over to here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to mix a little bit of blue into my white pile over here. But notice I left the turquoise in my brush, and I'll blend down. I'm going to be really careful by the unicorn because I want my unicorn to have white skin or fur, whatever we want to call it. Okay, and then I'll blend up into the turquoise and down into the blue and up into the turquoise and down into the blue. And notice by doing that, by blending up and then down, look. Isn't that so awesome how you can't even tell a difference? Like there's no start and finish line. So that's the trick, is you blend up and then you blend down. There we go. Okay. I'll bring a little bit of this blue over here. Okay, now same thing over here. Notice there's a little more background on the baby unicorn, and that's because baby unicorn is smaller. Well, I guess not baby unicorn, but younger unicorn, right? Now, when I hold my paintbrush, guys, I always hold it right. Typically, I hold it right where the metal and the handle meet, just like I would hold a pencil. But when I'm swirling, I find that my hand sort of slides back on the brush a little bit so that I can really like swirl that whole brush. So I'm almost like dab, swirl, dab, swirl, dab, swirl, dab, swirl. It's kind of the motion I got going on. Now remember, we want to go slow by the unicorn because we are not trying to create any kind of stress and anxiety for ourselves. We are just trying to have a good time and not get frustrated because we get paint where we didn't mean to. Now remember, we go up into the turquoise, down into the blue, up into the turquoise, down into the blue, up and down and up and down. There. All right, so I am working that down. There we go. Okay, notice that I really slowed down when I was by the unicorn. Little hint, hint, kiddos. Okay, and then over here, I am going to get into the purple area, right? So I'm going to put just a little bit of purple mixed into my white. Little bit mixed in. Okay, and I still have all that turquoise and blue in my brush, so I've got a lot of paint loaded up in here, don't I? I did paint that edge, right? I need to do a little bit more over there. Okay, so I'm going to do this bottom edge just to get some of this purple out of my brush, and then work on this plain white part, and then kind of blend it up into the blue and back down. Now, this is completely optional. I was just trying to give you guys like a different kind of option for your background. There is absolutely nothing wrong with just doing one solid color background. You could do just all blue, like a daytime. You could do all black, like a nighttime. That would be super cool. Like maybe paint some stars or something. Or you could do, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Or you could do like pink or all purple. There's really no wrong answer, okay? Just have fun with it. That is the answer. So I've got to do this bottom edge right here. You got to be careful where her hair flips. If you can't get in there with your bigger brush, use like your medium pointy brush or even your small pointy brush if you need to. Now, I am not even worrying about my Sharpie lines right now, and here's the deal. Here's why. Because typically what I do with most of my paintings is I go back in at the end after it is 100% dry. 100% dry. And I will go back in. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue because my blue is already dried. And kind of put that blue on there with the purple. There we go. So I go back in with my Sharpie and just clean up all of my edges and just re-Sharpie them. And I'm going to get some of that paint out of my brush. Too much. But, oh my gosh, it does amazing wonders to go back at the end and re-Sharpie every pencil line, or every Sharpie line, excuse me, that's already on there. It just does wonders. And typically I do that with a lot of my art, even just my art lessons that I do that are not painting. So that is an idea. Okay. There we go, guys. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. I love it. So even though the background is just background, you can still have a lot of fun with it. Now, anytime we're not using a brush, it goes in the water cup, okay? Now, I really love, I think I really just want it to be a white unicorn, okay? Because I'm about to get really colorful with the hair. So, but up to you. If you want to paint your unicorn, my whole thought is you outline a space and then you fill it in, and then you outline and then you fill it in. So for example, I would outline around the face. I would try to kind of get in between and around the eyes, around the mouth, the nose, and then I would go back and get it all filled in. Okay, so that is just kind of how I like to do things. So I am going to move on to their hair. I'm going to go rainbow order. So we know rainbow order starts with red. But because I have this beautiful background going on, I think I want to go with almost like softer tones. So instead of being bold colors, which to each their own, maybe you want bold colors. And maybe you don't want rainbow hair. You do what you want. I'm going to go kind of more pinkish, okay? So I am going to outline. So this is what I'm talking about. Like if you're going to do the body, you would do the body before the hair, but you would do what I'm doing. You would outline and then you would fill in. Okay? So we would outline and then fill in. And sometimes when you outline both sides, it kind of automatically fills it in. Okay. There we go. And then I might, let's see, red, orange, yellow, green, blues, and purples. I may do more of the warms. Just just because we have so much cool colors in the background, right? So we'll do some reddish pink here. There we go. And maybe a little bit more up here. Now, if we get a little bit out of the lines, that is okay, because we're not going to stress about it. It can be fixed. Either A, just that area becomes a little bit bigger, or B, a trick that you can do is take your paper towel, you wrap a clean part of it around your finger, you dip it in some clean water, and then wherever you happen to get out of the lines, you would just rub, 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 and then you would find a dry area, and then you just kind of wipe it clean, and it'll come right off. Now, you may have to touch up your background behind it, but that's okay. No big deal, okay? Now, in order to get orange, I don't have orange, so I'm going to take some yellow. I'm going to take some of this pinky red, and I'm going to mix those together so I get orange. You always want to start with more of your, I'm going to add a little bit more white too. Start with more of your lighter color and then add in just a little bit of your dark color at a time till you like it. There we go. Might need to add just a little bit more white because that's kind of mixing, or it's not really popping against the pink, is it? So we'll just blend a little bit of white straight on there. There. So pretty. Now I am using a very, very soft touch. If you do not have a very, very soft touch, it takes a lot of practice, then you may want to be using a smaller brush. So that's something to think about. If you need a smaller brush stroke, then use a smaller brush. There we go. And notice that I'm doing nice long brush strokes from one side to the other. Now, may I remind you that if I'm getting a little bit ahead of you, just hit pause, no big deal. Or even rewind, again, no big deal, okay? I am gonna have to clean my brush now to move on to yellow. Otherwise, I would just have a lighter orange, right? If I stuck my orangey brush in my yellow paint. Now this yellow is pretty intense, so I'm gonna grab some white, move it over to my yellow, and mix it up a little. So it's not quite so intense. It's still kind of bright though. And we'll add some of that in. And again, you can just sort of have fun with their hair, or if it's easier, do it all one color. There is definitely nothing wrong with doing her hair all the same color. Oh my gosh, and if you have glitter, let me tell you what, if you put a little bit of glitter on that horn, so save the horn for last, put a little bit of glitter on that horn, OMG, you're gonna love it, okay? But save it for last, don't paint that horn yet. It's awfully tempting. It's the first thing everyone always wants to paint first is the horn, so save it, okay? All right. And then now, let's see. I think I'm going to bring a little bit of her yellow on our little girly girl here down, just a little bit. And here's why. Because I'm going to take I don't have green, right? So I'm going to take a little bit of my turquoise, or you could even take blue, and I'm going to mix it into that soft yellow that I just made. And now I have a soft green, right? Remember, it just takes a little bit. I'm going to start at the end here And I'm going to kind of flick it up into the hair. Now again, you don't have to be so fancy. You do you. Whatever works for you, okay? Because there's absolutely no stressing about painting with me. We're just supposed to be having a great time, making happy memories. There we go. All right. Okay. Now, as I go down this little lock over here, as I go down, what I could do is grab a little bit more turquoise and mix that into my green pile over here, and then start at the opposite end and kind of flick that up just like that into the hair. So that's kind of fun, right? Okay. Now, if you have favorite colors, like maybe you really love pink, then just put more pink in the hair, okay? Or you really love purple, then put more purple in. So it's totally up to you guys how much of each color you put in to the unicorn's hair, okay? And then let's see, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, then purple, right? 𝗀𝗲𝗱𝘆. So again, I want my blue to be softer, so we're going to mix some white and blue together. And I may have overestimated how much paint to put on my plate because we definitely are not using all of what I have on here, but that's okay. You can use your leftover paint to paint on your bag that came with your kit, right? Okay. I'm painting the blue right next to the green because I think it's pretty when blue and green mix and makes like a turquoise. So why not? And I'll paint on this side as well because it's okay if yellow and blue mix because that'll just make a another green, right? No big deal. All right. And then we'll put some blue in little Missy's hair over here. Okay. There we go. All right, and maybe just a smidge more over here. Otherwise, that would have just been a big old chunk of purple, right? And I guess clean this off and get into my purple. And remember, we made that light purple earlier anyway. I'm just going to darken it up some by putting a little bit more purple into my light. And same thing. And because I am putting similar colors by each other, don't forget your edge. Kind of forgot my edges over here a little bit. Because I'm putting similar colors next to each other, it's totally okay if they mix. Because they look good when they mix, right? But if I were to put like yellow and purple next to each other, nope, that would make brown. Because when yellow and purple mix, they make brown. Or blue and orange make brown, or red and green make brown. So you got to be thoughtful about what colors you put next to each other. Now, after this all dries, you could even take it a step further and streak in some more into the hair. So like after this dried, because there's not very many warm colors over here, I could streak in some red and orange down there and it would be beautiful. We may do that here in a minute. Okay. Whoop. All right. Yeah, let me forget that hair down there. That's okay. We can go back, add it back in there, right? Okay. OMG. So pretty. Okay. So now we got to do a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green and blue, don't we? Totally forgot. Right here, we'll do a little bit of yellow. Just put a little pop of it in there. Little bit of green. Just a little streak. And clean that, dry that. Remember, clean, 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 dry, dry, dry. Make sure it's really dry, kiddos. You guys have a hard time with that for some reason, so make sure it's really dry. There we go. Okay. Oh my goodness, I hope y'all have some music jamming because I feel like I am just talking. Or maybe you're sharing some happy memories with each other. That's what this time is for. It's just to bond. Okay, I'm going to put some white and I'm going to grab some of that pink that we made earlier so I can make an even softer pink. So a lot of white with just a little bit of that pink we made earlier. Or you can do whatever color you want. It doesn't have to be pink, right? I'm going to fill her little ear in. And Mama Bear up here has, or Mama Unicorn, I guess I can't call her Mama Bear, that's silly. Has two little ears, but this one's got such big hair, her ear's on the other side, so we can't see it. These are profiles, so it's their side views, right? Okay, now I'm going to switch to my baby brush, and we need to think, what color for Mama's eye? I think I'm going to give her brown eyes, just because I have brown eyes. And I'm using my very baby brush, and it's almost like you're not even painting the color in. Really, you are just dabbing it in. Now, if you get paint on the Sharpie, remember, after this is 100% dry, not right now, but after it's 100% dry, you can go back and re-Sharpie, right? Wipe some of that off, grab some more brown, and just kind of put it right around the edge, kind of darken up the edge. There we go. So that looks kind of cool. Let me show you. See, when you darken the edge up just a little bit. Awesome. Okay. And really the last thing is the horn. And so you need to think what would be beautiful. And like we were talking about earlier, I think glitter would be absolutely fabulous, but I'm really sad because glitter's at my art studio and I'm at home right now. So that's okay. I am just going to make a pretty kind of goldeny purple. Goldeny yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some yellow over here. I am going to put a chunk of white into my yellow to soften it up. Plus it makes it not so see-through. Then I'm going to grab a mini chocolate chip amount. It's not much. Come on. Oh my goodness, it never wants to focus. Anyway, it's not much, I promise. And I'm going to mix that into my yellow. It's always best to just start with a little tiny bit at a time. You can always add more, but you can't take it out once it's in there, right? So you gotta think about that. Okay, we roll that extra out. And if you don't trust yourself with your medium brush, then maybe you should go back with your baby brush to fill it in. There we go. Pink horn would be cute. Purple horn. Rainbow horn would be cute. So, of course, you can have so much fun with the horn color. Notice that I'm filling it in from one side of the horn to the other. Okay. Just little bitty short brush strokes. We're going to totally re-Sharpie this later, so we're not even worried about it. Ta-da! Okay, now I feel like she's got quite a bit of color everywhere, but I feel like she is totally missing some red and orange in her mane. So I'm going to grab me some of that pinky red that we made earlier and just put like a couple of flicks in there. Don't you think? Yes. Completely agree, right? Just kidding. You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. And then I'll grab some of that orange that we made. And put a little pop of that in there. And how about there? Now I'm kind of feeling it better. Cover up that Sharpie line a little bit better right there. Awesome. Okay. Oh, and I can see some Sharpie line here. Nice. Now I am going to take my baby brush, dry it off really good. And you may need your horn to dry so this actually like shows up, but I'm going to do just a little sweep, 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 sweep of white that kind of comes across the top and down the left. So across the top, down the left, across the top, down the left, across the top, down the left, just like that. And this sort of gives our horn a little extra something, right? And if you covered up that dot in the eye on accident, use your brush handle, dip it in your white paint, and then you can dot right there on the canvas. Pretty cool, huh? So this, my friends, is our very fun dual experience, and I just absolutely loved having the opportunity to paint with you. And I hope, I'm doing a little touch up here, that you guys really enjoyed the experience. And I'm so sad that you are not like right here with me because I can't see what you're doing. But I know that you had to have done fabulous. And so post some pictures. I want to see your paintings. Maybe hold them up or just put them on together and take a picture of them. So thank you so much for making some memories memories with me today, and I cannot wait to paint with you again.